Libra, my dear soul aligned with the scales of divine justice, let me say this clearly: you've already won. Don't move. A massive financial blessing is quietly on its way to you right now. This isn't a prediction. It's a spiritual confirmation. The transaction has been approved in the unseen realms, and the only signature required now is your stillness. Welcome to Zodiac Whisper Tarot, where divine messages are not just spoken, but received by the hearts that are ready. This message found you for a reason, and no, it's not because of the algorithm. It's because your energy, your readiness, your unshakable grace has magnetized this exact moment to you. If you are a Libra, or even if Libra rules your moon, your rising, or your Venus, this is not just a horoscope. This is your invitation to stand still on holy ground. Why? Because a sacred financial transfer is in motion, and your soul has been chosen as its rightful recipient. You see, Libra, you didn't fight with swords or scream for attention. You didn't demand justice, you became it. And now, the universe, or what some may call God, is balancing the scales in your favor. What was withheld, misused, or taken from you in silence is now being returned with cosmic interest. You don't need to chase what's already chasing you. You don't need to knock on doors that heaven is already opening on your behalf. Right now, the quiet is your confirmation. The stillness is your answer. And your peace, your grounded presence, is the proof that you are aligned. So, if your heart is beating a little louder, if your spirit knows this message is not coincidence, then stay. Stay with me until the end of this reading, because what's being revealed today is nothing short of extraordinary. The kind of revelation that doesn't just uplift, it restructures your entire energetic reality. Let me take a sacred moment to thank you for being here. Every view, every comment, every subscription is not just support for this channel, it's a signal to the universe that these messages matter, and that you are part of a global awakening. Thank you for being part of this sacred circle. Your presence fuels this mission, and your energy is not unseen. And Libra, if you felt like you've been moving through life unnoticed, undervalued, or delayed, this message is here to tell you that heaven took notice. You are not forgotten. You are not forsaken. You are favored. And the proof is on its way. Before we dive into the deep waters of today's reading, take a moment to comment below. I am still. I am ready. I receive. This is more than a comment, it's a declaration. A contract. A vibration that says to the spiritual realm, I'm awake, I'm present, and I'm aligned. So, take a deep breath. Open your heart. And stay with me, because what the universe is whispering to Libra today is sacred. There's something quietly heroic about how Libra moves through life, often unseen, often uncelebrated, but always aligned with truth. You don't push your way into rooms. You don't shout to be recognized. Instead, you stand in grace, guided by an inner compass that knows the difference between force and power. And it's that calm, grounded dignity that becomes your spiritual signature, your energetic calling card. In a world addicted to noise and speed, your stillness is disruptive in the most divine way. To be a Libra is to carry the frequency of sacred balance. You are the living embodiment of the scales, not just as a zodiac symbol, but as a universal law in motion. You sense imbalance instinctively. You feel injustice even when it's invisible to others. And yet, your response is rarely outrage. Its presence. Stillness. Reflection. Adjustment. This quiet strength is not a passive trait, it is a soul-level commitment to harmony, and that commitment does not go unnoticed in the spiritual ledger of the universe. When I say you've already won, I don't mean you've conquered your enemies. I mean you've conquered the need to fight where you were never meant to. You've chosen integrity when retaliation would have been easier. You've chosen patience when urgency tried to shake your faith. And in doing so, you've become the proof of what divine justice looks like in human form. The kind that whispers, not shouts. The kind that doesn't seek revenge, but restoration. And that kind of justice is deeply magnetic. It draws the reward to you, without you ever having to chase it. I often think of how spiritual principles mirror the laws of physics. The more still an object becomes, the more energy it can hold. Libra, your stillness has not only preserved your dignity, it has created a vacuum of attraction. It has made you the perfect vessel for what is about to be poured into your life. You don't need to scream your worth to the world, because heaven has already recognized it. And the evidence of that recognition is now making its way to you quietly, but powerfully. There's a deeper layer to this moment that's important to understand. This isn't just about personal victory. This is about cosmic timing. Your life is part of a much larger Paterna divine algorithm designed to restore balance not just within you, but through you. You are not only being restored, you are being positioned. Positioned to carry a frequency of peace in chaotic times. Positioned to hold a mirror to others who have forgotten what real alignment feels like. You are the reminder that stillness is not stagnation, and that receiving is not weakness. And yes, while we may not always speak of faith directly in astrology, the wisdom of divine timing is present in every spiritual tradition. In moments like these, I think of the modern-day miracles we hear about, the person who gets a life-changing phone call right when they were about to give up. The stranger who offers help in a moment of need that felt like divine orchestration. These stories aren't fantasies. They are echoes of the same truth you're stepping into now, that something greater is watching, waiting, and already moving on your behalf. So, if you've ever felt like your quiet choices were wasted, if you've ever questioned whether choosing grace over ego actually mattered, this is your confirmation. You are being seen. You are being rewarded. And more importantly, you are being reminded that you were never forgotten. The balance is real. The energy is sacred. And the justice unfolding now is not coming through chaos, but through peace. Let this moment be an invitation not to do more, but to trust more. To remain in your place. To remain yourself. Because you, Libra, are not becoming worthy. You've been worthy all along. And the scale is finally tipping in your favor. It's easy to believe that progress must look like movement. We live in a world that rewards hustle, applauds urgency, and equates momentum with success. But for you, Libra, something extraordinary is unfolding that doesn't follow the rules of noise. Your current phase is not about pushing forward, it's about becoming magnetic. And what's arriving for you isn't something you can chase. It's something that finds you precisely because you are standing still. There's a spiritual economy at work here, an invisible system of exchange between your energy and the greater patterns of the universe. Just like a bank transaction cannot be completed while the recipient is moving locations, this moment in your life requires stillness so that the delivery can land. Your quiet presence, your grounded being, is the address that the blessing is searching for. And if you move too soon, act out of anxiety, or try to help it along, you risk scrambling the coordinates that were divinely set for you. This mirrors what we see in the tarot through the energy of the Hanged Man, a card that many misunderstand as passive or stagnant. But in truth, it is one of the most powerful archetypes of enlightened pause. The Hanged Man teaches us that transformation is often internal before it becomes external, and that wisdom is gained not by doing more, but by seeing from a higher angle. And Libra, your higher perspective is being activated now. Astrologically, this is intensified by the presence of Venus retrograde and Saturn's influence. Venus, your ruling planet, governs value, relationships, and beauty, but in retrograde, it asks you to reassess your worth, to pause before you spend, react, or even reach out. Saturn, the planet of structure and lessons, is asking you to mature into this silence, to see stillness not as inaction, but as a sacred boundary that protects your miracle while it's still forming. The combination of these planetary forces makes this moment less about doing and more about becoming. In numerology, this phase vibrates with the energy of 7 and 4. 7 is the seeker's number, symbolic of intuition, depth, and divine timing. 4 brings stability, foundations, and order. Together, they ask you to trust your inner knowing while remaining rooted. Not in fear, but in expectancy. Imagine you're standing at a spiritual doorway. On the other side is the life you've prayed for, not just financially, but emotionally and energetically. All that's required of you now is to remain at the threshold, steady, open, and aligned. Even in the teachings of faith, there are countless stories where the breakthrough came not through striving, but through surrender. In quiet moments, when people least expected it, their prayers were answered. Not because they fought harder, but because they let go. Because they stayed. Because they trusted the timing, even when it didn't match their own. The same principle applies to you now. You are not waiting passively, you are cooperating with divine order by standing still. So, if you feel a surge of restlessness, the temptation to check, fix, or control, breathe. Recognize that impulse not as a sign to act, but as a signal that something is being healed. Let this be your practice, choosing trust over tension, peace over panic. Allow your energy to speak on your behalf. It already knows the way. And if this resonates with where you are, if you feel that deep knowing rise up inside you, leave a comment below and say, "I stay still, and money finds me." That's not just a comment, it's a declaration. A sacred agreement between your heart and the invisible forces already working in your favor. There comes a point in every spiritual journey where silence becomes louder than proof, and stillness becomes stronger than force. For you, Libra, that moment is now. You may not see everything shifting on the surface just yet, but underneath it all, deep within the energetic currents of your life, a powerful realignment is underway. The universe is not only preparing to give you something new, it's reclaiming what was always yours to begin with. Imagine for a moment that your energy, your talents, your ideas, and your compassion have long been used as spiritual currency by people who never gave you credit. Maybe they borrowed your light, your time, your loyalty without ever offering true reciprocity. In the realm of unseen energy, this creates a karmic imbalance. And now, just like an overdrawn account in need of reconciliation, a cosmic audit is being conducted on your behalf. This isn't punishment. It's restoration. And you, Libra, are at the center of it. You're not being asked to get revenge or even seek justice in the way the world defines it. No, you're being asked to allow justice to find you. To allow the universe, with its perfect timing and precision, to return what was taken correctly, quietly, and in full. That's what this part of your journey is about, energetic restitution. What others received through your silence is now being rebalanced through your awakening. In tarot, this is the fusion of judgment and justice. The former represents divine assessment where nothing is overlooked and nothing is misjudged. The latter ensures the scales are balanced, not through emotion, but through truth. And Libra, as the sign who is the scale, you carry this frequency naturally. That's why this phase feels both personal and deeply impersonal. It's not about one relationship or one betrayal, it's about the system within your life that is now being restructured to honor your true energetic value. You may notice certain people or patterns reappearing now. A sudden apology. A friendly message from someone who once ignored you. Opportunities offered by people who never saw your worth before. These are not all signs of growth. Some are tests. This is where your discernment becomes key. Not everyone who returns is meant to stay. Some are simply indicators that the universe is settling old debts and your job is to observe, not re-engage. Offer grace, but guard your peace. You are not being asked to judge them, you are being asked to protect what's being restored to you. This also reflects a deeper psychological shift. Many who are kind-hearted often struggle with receiving, especially after years of being overlooked. But the season of survival is ending, and the season of overflow is beginning. That means letting go of the part of you that felt you had to prove your worth. That means accepting, not questioning what is rightfully returning. Your time. Your joy. Your momentum. Your abundance. Let it come back. Without guilt. Without explanation. In real life, we hear stories all the time of people who endured long seasons of lack, only to receive an unexpected windfall, an opportunity, a repayment, a breakthrough they never saw coming. These aren't flukes. They're part of the same system you're entering now. They are reminders that sometimes, the justice of life comes not in courtrooms, but in quiet miracles. So don't be surprised if what was once denied now arrives with ease. And if you've ever felt used, dismissed, or energetically drained by others, speak your reclamation into reality. Say it in the comments below. I receive back everything that belongs to me. Say it not from a place of anger, but from empowerment. Because you're not just collecting what's a weedier, stepping into who you were always meant to be. The balance is restoring. Let it. Sometimes transformation doesn't arrive with thunder, it arrives in whispers. Libra, you might be feeling exhausted for no obvious reason, emotionally sensitive, or even disconnected from the routines that once grounded you. What you're experiencing isn't failure, regression, or confusion. It's recalibration. Your internal system, mind, body, and energetic field is being rewritten to hold a new frequency. And like any system update, it temporarily slows everything down, asking you to pause so something greater can integrate beneath the surface. This phase of energetic upgrading can feel frustrating because it doesn't always come with clarity. One day you're inspired, the next you're foggy. One morning you wake up ready to take on the world, and by nightfall, you crave silence and solitude. These fluctuations are not random. They're signs that the vibration you've lived in, the one shaped by survival, scarcity, and over-responsibility, is being gently released so that a new vibration of receptivity, wealth, and emotional ease can take root. Think of your body like a garden. You've been pulling weeds for a long time, habits, beliefs, even relationships that weren't nourishing you. Now the soil is bare, soft, and a little exposed. It needs protection, hydration, and time to rest before the new seeds can sprout. That rest isn't a luxury, it's a spiritual and emotional requirement. During this energetic shift, hydration becomes sacred. Your cells are communicating faster than usual. Drinking clean water isn't just good health advice, it's a way of helping your body translate higher frequency information without short-circuiting. The same goes for food. Your body may suddenly reject what it once craved and lean toward what it once avoided. Pay attention. Cravings for green, fresh foods aren't coincidence, theory alignment. The color green connects directly to your heart chakra and your ruling planet, Venus. It also helps stabilize your nervous system, regulate emotions, and ground you in love, not fear. When you honor these intuitive nudges, you're not just supporting a system that's rewriting its entire operating code. If you're finding yourself drawn to certain colors, that too is meaningful. Shades like emerald, soft white, and warm gold are energetically stabilizing right now. They reflect balance, clarity, and abundance, qualities that match the new energetic structure forming within you. Wearing these colors or surrounding yourself with them reinforces the frequency you're stepping into. It's not decoration, it's energetic scaffolding. On an emotional level, you might notice old memories returning. Not to haunt you, but to release you. Things you thought you'd healed may resurface, not because you failed, but because your system is finally strong enough to let them go completely. This is deep cellular work, and it requires compassion. You don't need to figure out every feeling. You just need to let it move through you like a wave. Feel it, honor it, and then release it without holding judgment. In times like this, practical rest becomes your most spiritual practice. And rest doesn't just mean sleep, it means consciously stepping away from what drains you. Say no without guilt. Create space without apology. Whether it's a quiet walk, laying under sunlight, or turning off your phone for an hour, these acts are not escapist theory invitations for deeper integration. Just as the body heals fastest when asleep, the soul realigns when undisturbed. You are not alone in this experience. So many sensitive, intuitive people are walking through the same invisible upgrade. If you feel this in your body, your emotions, or even your dreams, share it. Let others see they are not going through it in silence. Drop a comment below and say, "I'm being upgraded, and I welcome it." That simple statement becomes a lighthouse for someone else and a reminder to yourself that healing isn't always loud. Sometimes it's quiet, sacred, and just beneath the surface where everything important begins. When you begin noticing those repeating angel numbers, 1111 lighting up your clock, 444 appearing on license plates, 888 following you through receipts and billboards, it's not coincidence. It's divine calibration. It's the universe tapping on your shoulder, gently, patiently whispering, "Look, Libra. You're aligning." These synchronicities are spiritual coordinates. Not just signs but confirmations. They are evidence that the invisible wheels of abundance are turning, and that heaven is preparing to deliver resources that match your frequency. And what is that frequency? Faith, purpose, stewardship, and expansion. Perhaps you've recently found unexpected money or reimbursement you didn't anticipate, a refund from a source long forgotten, or someone finally repaying a debt that felt like it would never return. You may even feel a soft stirring in your sleep, visions of a wealthier life that feels not only possible, but real. This is how the universe communicates when it is close. When the veil between the spiritual blueprint and material reality is thin. And Libra, you are now standing in that threshold. But just as the blessings begin to arrive, so too may old faces resurface, not to reconcile, but to test your growth. An ex, a former friend, a colleague who once doubted your light may return now, curious or even apologetic. But understand this: when abundance knocks, shadows follow. Why? Because your light exposes what is still unhealed. These interactions are not detours, theory checkpoints. They ask, will you shrink to fit your past, or rise to match your promise? Here's where your mission truly begins. You were not chosen to be rich just for yourself. Money in your hands is not just currency, it's energy. It's a vehicle for impact. You are being equipped, Libra, to become a vessel. A lighthouse. A keyholder to something greater. Not everyone will understand your vision, and not everyone is meant to. But those who are meant to receive your light, artists searching for a stage, healers needing support, the voiceless longing to be heard, they will feel your impact. You are the one who can say, "Let there be light," and mean it not just as a metaphor, but as a tangible reality. Your abundance will rebuild. It will shelter. It will inspire. And even if your own life once lacked the safety or support you needed, the money flowing to you now is your opportunity to become what you once wished for. That is the sacred exchange. That is the divine agreement. You might ask, but why me? The answer is simpler than you think, because you listened. Because even when nothing made sense, you kept walking. Because when the world said, "Sit down," you stood up in faith. That's what makes you different. That's what makes you chosen. So the next time you see 888, whisper back, "I am ready." The next time a small financial blessing finds you, say, "Thank you, I accept." The next time you're given the chance to help someone in need, even if it's just a kind word or a few dollars, give from your overflow, not your fear. This is how you stay in flow. This is how you become magnetic. Now, pause for a moment and ask yourself, if I received everything I've been asking for tomorrow, who would I help first? What would I build? What would I restore? Write that down. Declare it in the comments. Say, "I am the keyholder of blessing." Because you are. And that key? It has already been placed in your hand. You simply needed the courage to turn the lock. There comes a moment when the winds stop blowing, the noise fades, and all that remains is the sound of your breath, steady, anchored, and alive. Libra, this is that moment. You don't need to chase anything anymore. You don't need to prove your worth, unlock secret doors, or outperform the expectations of the world. The truth is simpler, deeper, and more powerful. You are already the open gate. The blessing doesn't come because you worked harder, it comes because you were faithful in the waiting, strong in the silence, and wise enough not to close your heart when things fell apart. Perhaps no one told you, but your silence was a prayer. Your stillness was a vibration felt across dimensions. Every time you stayed calm while chaos stirred around you, you opened another invisible vault in heaven's treasury. And now? The vaults are swinging wide open, not with punishment, not with delay, but with divine abundance meant specifically for you. Not just because of what you endured, but because of how you endured it with grace, compassion, and an unwavering sense that something bigger was unfolding. When the signs came, repeating numbers, unexpected money, vivid dreams, or even strange encounters, you didn't dismiss them. You listened. You knew. And that knowing was a signal, not just to the universe, but to God Himself. You see, there are people who stumble into blessings, and there are those who were chosen to carry them. You, beloved Libra, were not just selected to receive, you were appointed to steward. You hold the keys to a future where money is not just currency but a current that flows through you to heal others, build beauty, and restore balance. And now, with this miracle knocking, I want to remind you, your next step is not a sprint. It's not another hustle. It's stillness. Stillness is your power now. Stillness is the proof that you trust. Because when you can remain still in the face of incoming transformation, you demonstrate faith at its highest frequency. And from that place, heaven aligns what no effort could force. So, take a breath, Libra. You've done enough. You are enough. The jackpot wasn't an accident. The financial miracle, the open doors, the surprising gift theory, all right on time. Not a second early, not a second late. You are now stepping into the moment when God's yes overrides every human no. And if you've ever wondered why it took so long, perhaps it was because the miracle needed to be shaped exactly to fit your growth, your maturity, your integrity. Before we part, I leave you with this prayer. May you have the discernment to know what to let go of, the peace to stay still when everyone else runs, and the joy to share what you receive without fear of loss. May your hands remain open. May your heart remain soft. And may your name be whispered in rooms where your destiny is about to be signed into existence. If this message touched your soul, let it be known. Like this video to anchor your readiness. Subscribe to Zodiac Whisper Tarot so you don't miss the sacred instructions coming next. And in the comments, declare it boldly, I stay still and money finds me. Or, I am Libra, the keeper of heaven's blessing. The gates are open. The time is now. Just stay still and watch what comes rushing in.